Hello there guys, welcome back to Younes Talks Football. I hope all of you are doing well. So, boy, did we have an eventful watch-along earlier on, didn't we? If you were there for it, much appreciated. If you weren't, you need to start jumping on the watch-alongs. Basically, what a watch-along that was. 45 minutes of a break between the first half and the start of the second half because of a cloud. So if you want to go and watch, you know, what went down, make sure you go and check out the watch along, but go and check out video number 1 as well from the news earlier on. You can go and have a butcher's. This is your preview for Flamengo versus Chelsea, but we're going to start off with the news because we have had an update. We have had some news. We've had things happen. So I'm going to go through those and then we're going to talk about the game tomorrow. We'll transition into what Maresca said in the press conference and then transition into what I think needs to happen tomorrow. So with the news, what has happened? Well, this is something I didn't think I'd see. I mean, I knew that at one point this player would pop up, but not in this context. So, from Matt Law, exclusive, Chelsea winger Noni Madueke is on the radar of a host of clubs this summer, including Arsenal. England international not considered untouchable at Stamford Bridge, and host of Premier League clubs are in the market for wingers. Madueke. Arsenal? Really? Well, this is the confirmation from the Telegraph. Matt Law did write this, saying Arsenal are among clubs monitoring Noni Madueke's situation at Chelsea. On top of this, we were told through this that Madueke, according to Matt Law, is not untouchable at Chelsea. Now, I want to make a point. This is exactly what I meant when I was talking about if Chelsea are going to let go of a winger, Madueke is going to be number 1 on the list. We're not going to sell Pedro Neto. Mudryk is cooked. We're not going to get rid of Esteval Willian. He's going to be walking into the club soon. Well, are we going to get rid of Tyreek George? I don't think he'll probably get a loan. But I don't think he's even at the point where you can sell him and get money because his market value isn't that high. So Madueke is the one that you'll get the most return on. I'm looking from a financial perspective here. This isn't a thing. I know I say this and then some people are like, oh, you hate Madueke. No. I praise Madueke on a couple of things, specifically on how brave he is to take defenders on and how direct he is compared to others, because that actually makes things happen. So I do admire that. But I'll tell the truth. His final shot, his final pass sometimes he goes down channels and avenues that he doesn't need to go down because he wants to be the hero. Sometimes he decides to take so many shots and it does nothing with it because his accuracy isn't there. There are things, right? Some would say you can work on those. But overall, what I'm saying isn't anything to do with my opinion on the player. I'm saying that if Chelsea Football Club wanted to get rid of a winger, Madueke is the number 1 guy on the list. That's my point. And Matt Law today has made it clear that even Arsenal are interested. There's a host of Premier League clubs that are interested in Madueke. Now, is a move going to happen? He's valued at 40 to 50 million pounds, right? So it will be a profit. How much did we sign him for? We signed him for, if I'm not mistaken, I swear we got him for 35 million. I think it was about 35. We would make a profit on him substantially, even considering book value, if we were to sell him for 40 to 50 million pounds. We would. That's the avenue that I'm looking on. I'm looking at what are Chelsea more likely to do. I've told you this. With Chelsea now, you've got to follow the money. Don't let the football sentiment carry you away now. You have to look at the money because most decisions are going to be financially based. That's what I'm saying, just to keep you guys in the loop of what the club are going to do. Not what I agree or disagree with. I'm saying what the club are more likely to do. This is a big example of that. Madueke, Arsenal surprises me though. Why? They got Saka. They got Martinelli. They were interested in Rodrigo, apparently. I don't think Rodrigo's going to be leaving anyway, but were you going to shuffle between Saka and Madueke? Or it's a bit of a weird one. Personally, I don't get it. You see, in the same way that they couldn't fit Sterling in, is the same way that I don't think they're going to fit Madueke in. Now, not to say Madueke for me is more of a use than Sterling, I reckon, but I don't know how he gets used at Arsenal. But would they be willing to cough up 50 million? Anyway, Chelsea are in the market for wingers. We already know this. Plus, and this is why I say why it's more likely, because Esteval Willian is coming to the club. So the options are there. At right wing, we're all right. There's Pedro Neto, there's Esteval Willian, and if we have to, you can shift Cole Palmer across. We're all right. But on the left, we're thin. We're very thin. The left, realistically, unless you try and play Madueke there, on the left, we've only got Tyreek George. Because Mudryk is in big trouble. Big trouble. So now we're in the market. Sancho is left. Now we're in the market. I reckon we could get 2 wingers in. My sentiment tells me I reckon we're going to go for 2 wingers. We'll see. But let's see how it pans out. But Madueke, wanted by Premier League clubs, including Arsenal. What are your thoughts? Let me know down below. Joao Pedro, there's news on. So let's get into this. A move for Joao Pedro is advancing, sources suggest, with Newcastle in pole position ahead of Chelsea. Transfer business at Newcastle is expected to ramp up next week. Now, on top of this, we've also got from ex-West Ham United employee, West Ham are trying to sell Mohamed Kudus. On top of this, Pat has said Chelsea believe Joao Pedro will end up at Newcastle. They are tracking him since 2022. Fee above £50 million discussed. Chelsea believe they might get Kudus at the same price. As we speak, Newcastle are close, but Chelsea are still monitoring. This is working out perfectly for me, in my opinion. If this is the case, this is perfect. If Joao Pedro goes off to Newcastle, they're willing to pay that money, cool. We use that same money, we go and get Kudus, great. I'm on board. I am fully on board. If, like I told you in video number 1 earlier on, you give me the choice, Joao Pedro or Kudus, and there's Rodgers in this as well, but Joao Pedro or Kudus, which for the money, I know Joao Pedro is probably going to cost a little bit more. I'd rather go and get Kudus. And I would have Kudus in the team, brilliant. No problem at all. I think that solves quite a void for us overall. Quality player. Now, some would say Joao Pedro is a quality player. Joao Pedro that can play up top as well, but he's not a striker. You know, he's not a striker. I know people are utilising him. For example, if Newcastle get Joao Pedro, that means that Isak might actually go to Liverpool. I find that a bit bizarre. I get the logic, but I find it bizarre. You'd let go of Isak and you'd replace him with Joao Pedro. How does that work? Like a proper in and out number 9 for someone who's just a hybrid that can occupy many positions along the front line. I mean, I like the versatility, don't get me wrong, just like Kudus. But to replace Isak, that's a bit bizarre for me. But that's a debate for a different day. But with the choice of Joao Pedro for that much, whereas I can get Kudus, I feel like there's less risk with Kudus. I feel like there's a higher level at the moment for right now with Kudus. I would rather have him in the team than to go down again an experimental route, because we have to be honest here, even on the left wing, we're going to be experimenting here. We're going to go for Gittins. If it's not going to be Gittins, it's going to be, what, Fofana? Possibly. We've not really heard much since, but the interest is there. Or we're going to get both. That is still fairly young and still fairly experimental. No one can tell you exactly what's going to happen once these guys come in. Are they going to kick it off? It's like with Esteval Willian. Can you really say Esteval's going to come in and just light it up? No. No, he might need a season. He might need 2. Kudus is ready-made for me. Kudus is a player that, yeah, he can come in, impact straight away. I'd rather that right now. Right now, I would rather that sort of player. So I would bring Kudus. So that's that. We'll see what pans out, especially on the topic of Madueke, Arsenal, Joao Pedro, Newcastle, all of these things that could be happening. We'll see what happens. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let's move to what Maresca has said as we head into the game. Flamengo versus Chelsea tomorrow. There will be a watch-along for that. Make sure you guys are here. 7 p.m. UK time. That's the kickoff. So just before that, I will be live. He said a couple of interesting things. Let's get into it. Here it is. So he says he's rotating tomorrow. It's not easy due to the temperature. This is one of the reasons we're going to rotate. He also clarified and said we are going to need to rotate between 3 to 5 players each game. Interesting. Very, very interesting. And you know what? I'm cool with this. I do understand that in parts of the United States, there is some serious heat going on, like 37, 38 degrees Celsius. I mean, that is high. Yeah, that is high. That's Dubai weather, right? Like, and if someone told me to go and play 90 minutes right now in this sun, I would be saying, yo, are you okay? But these guys have to do it. So I understand the rotation is going to be needed, considering that they are training. They're not just laying about each day waiting for the game to show up. They are training. I would say this is necessary. And it's what I wanted, irrespective of the weather. Because I want to see certain players start, right? I would like... Now, look, considering Flamengo are actually a decent team. I wouldn't want to rotate to the point where I think we're sabotaging ourselves. I'd want to bring on a couple of players, change a couple of players up. So, for example, Santos, I would start. I would like to start Santos. I would like to start Liam Delap. Yeah. These are the sort of players. I wouldn't mind rotating the defense a bit. Start Chalobah instead of Tosin, maybe. He played really well the last game. But Flamengo is going to be the hardest game of the group, in my opinion. ES Tunis is the third game. Hopefully, we should have the group wrapped up by that point. We win tomorrow, everything's under control. So, for me, I would consider having either Mamadou Sarr or Anselmino starting in defense alongside... To be honest, whether it's Chalobah, whether it's Levi Colwell, I don't mind, right? If you wanted to really go to that level. Or start off with Chalobah alongside Colwell, then later on bring on either Sarr or Anselmino. That way we get an idea of what these guys are about. We got to give them minutes. We got to see what they're like, at least in a Chelsea shirt. That way we have some sort of indicator. You can't start experimenting in the last 16. You got to do it in the group stage, whilst the levels should still be there, basically. We should be beating all three teams. But you get to the round of 16, you play Benfica, for example, at that point, you can't say for sure. You play PSG in the quarterfinal, well, you're toast. At that point, you just got to play your best team. So this is the time to get an idea, whilst we're probably not going to have much of a pre-season, to get an idea of what these players are about. So I would go with a Sarr or Anselmino in defence. I know some people would say Mike Penders as a goalkeeper. You know what? I'm not entirely against it. Because if not, what? We start Sanchez? I mean, cool. If we go with Penders, go with Penders. I'm actually not that bothered. I'd rather, okay, let's start with Penders. Let's do it. Let's do it. Or if we wanted like just familiarity and we go with Sanchez, for example, for tomorrow, if we wrap up everything for the third game, play Mike Penders and see what he's about for 90 minutes. I wouldn't be against that completely. I'd be for that. So that's that. I would want to play Santos, right? Santos, maybe alongside Caicedo. Or to be honest, I put this to the panel earlier on in the tournament, at the start of the tournament, where if we were to play Santos alongside Caicedo for a half, and then play Santos alongside Enzo for a half. But I know Santos is a sort of player that does advance a little bit, so Caicedo's the one to sit. I would rather him Caicedo, but there's that. And then Liam Delap up top. Liam Delap. There are options, other options on the bench, you know, Tyreek George, for example, or whatever. I wouldn't want to change too much. But anyway, we'll see what happens and we'll see what that lineup is, but there is going to be changes. 3 to 5. Maresca's already illustrated, so I'll be honest, I'm expecting some of the names that I've mentioned here. And we'll see. When the lineup comes out tomorrow, we will see. Now, Flamengo have got... We just played LAFC. We bumped into good old Olivier Giroud. Well, Flamengo have got another ex-Chelsea. And it's none other than Mr. Jorginho himself. So Jorginho is going to be playing tomorrow. We get to see him again. And yeah, that's going to be good. It's a shame ES Tunis don't have any old Chelsea players. But Jorginho is going to be on the pitch tomorrow. We'll see how he fares alongside our midfield. That's going to be a good comparison to get, you know, Caicedo, Enzo or Santos or Lavia or whatnot. And then Jorginho on the other side. Let's see what that dynamic's going to be like against them, you know, or get with them against each other. We'll see. Make sure you guys are on the watch along. My prediction for tomorrow is I expect a tight game. I actually expect a tight game. You got to remember, Flamengo, South Americans, maybe a little bit more heat adapted. I would say, you know what? 2-1 win Chelsea. 2-1. Tight. We'll see. Now, let me know your thoughts down below. Much appreciated. I'll be here for the watch long tomorrow. There might be a first video in the day, considering the news. If there's any updates, I'll give you my thoughts. Then the watch long, and then after that, the match review. So make sure you guys are here. Much appreciated, and I will catch all of you then. Subscribe, notification bell on. Catch you tomorrow. In a bit, take care, and peace.